You're a gigging guitar player and you've broken your wrist. I can sympathise with that. I broke my left wrist slipping down the disability ramp on the outside of my house. The irony of that is not lost on me, but it was really painful. This was 6 weeks and 1 day, every day is important, 1 day ago. And having fallen down the ramp, went to the accident and emergency. They diagnosed the fact it was a broken wrist. As I say, it was a radial break, not quite separating the bone itself, but with a really sort of gap there and open. It didn't look very nice at all on the x-ray. So they sent me off to get it pulled into place, which doesn't sound great, and in fact wasn't great. They give you a plastic anesthetic pipe thing to suck on to try and give some pain relief while they reset your wrist. It tasted a little bit like felt tip pen, whiteboard marker, that sort of thing. Not pleasant, but never mind. But every fibre in my being was concentrating on the wrist, not so much anyway. This big guy pulled my wrist straight while a nurse put the plaster cast around and tamped it all down and waited for it to set. Okay, so that's all they did at that stage, and gave me some pain relief, which I didn't take, and sent me home to wait for a couple of days until I could see a consultant who could tell me what had gone on. Went back a couple of days later. The consultant had a look and said, yeah, you may need surgery, you may not. It looks like they've pulled it pretty much back into place. Therefore, we'll give it a week and we'll see what happens. We'll put an extra bit of plaster casting on just to make it even more robust. So that's what they did, and they sent me away, and I went back a week later. So a week later was a week and 2 days after the break, and they x-rayed it through the pot, and I went and he said, oh yeah, it looks like you've got away with it. That was his phrase, not mine. You've got away with it. Looks like it's going to be okay in terms of healing it in its current position. Therefore, you don't need surgery. I did not want surgery. So now you go away, and we'll see you in 3 weeks' time, which is between Christmases and New Year, because this is currently January the 10th, 2024. So this happened in the winter. So we'll see you between Christmas and New Year, and we'll make an assessment then. So I went back between Christmas and New Year. It was very quiet in here, which is good. So they took the cast off, which I wasn't expecting, did another x-ray and went back to see the guy, and he said, yeah, it looks like it's healing okay, therefore we're just going to give you a wrist brace. Rubbish. The National Health Service wrist braces in Britain are not brilliant, so I immediately bought myself a more manly one from Amazon for a tenner. So that's been great. That's been great, just to give you a little bit of support, because when you come out, when they take the brace off, I mean, it smells, and your hand is still fat and swollen. I mean, having the brace on was uncomfortable anyway. It was heavy and an encumbrance all the time. For me, I wear contact lenses. I couldn't do any of this. They'd put the actual plaster on a little bit too far up the finger, so I couldn't do any of the exercise they told you on YouTube to do. Oh, if you've got a plaster on, you can do all this. No, I couldn't. All of that. So the plaster cast was awful, but it was great to get it off. Even though I'm thinking, isn't it normally 6 weeks for a bone to heal? But I'll go with it anyway. So with me wrist brace, which I wasn't entirely sure when I should wear it and when I shouldn't, but that became more clear when I saw a physiotherapist a couple of days later. So about a week later actually. So this was 4 weeks and 2 days. Off I go with my wrist brace, waiting for me Amazon one to arrive, and I'm happy because, you know, I've got my pot off now, so I can think about getting back to playing the guitar. Bit earlier, but there's two elements to all this I've discovered. That there's the physical element of having a wrist fracture, and there's a mental element, and they're probably about equal in terms of, for me, I'm 67 years old. You do worry about when you're getting a bit older, is that going to be me take a lot longer for things to heal? Plus, I'm also a primary carer for my wife who has early onset Alzheimer's. Okay, she's been non-verbal for for the last few years. There's lots of other complications, which means I rely on playing the guitar and the band coming around once a week to rehearse, to have that release from the tension and the stress of having to be a full-time carer. And of course, all of a sudden that's gone. Now, there's only so many YouTube videos you can watch to pass the hours. I'm not a great television fan, and you're watching other people play guitar and you think, oh yeah, you watch all the reviews of the various bits of gear because you're always looking for gear, aren't you? Guitarist players always look for gear. Anyway, so there's all that, but so it's a big strain mentally. Am I going to get back? Am I going to be able to play to the level I could before? You know, worries. But then there's a physical side, and it hurts. It just aches. And it was very swollen. It's still swollen now. As you can see, this, as I say, this is 6 weeks and a day, and it's still swollen. So it was a case of, right, where do we go from now? Now, after 5 weeks, after 4 weeks, and the same day they took the cast off, my last callus fell off my last finger that had a callus on. So that was interesting, because that's how long it takes calluses. So if you don't practice, guys, that's how long before it starts to fall off. Anyway, so I thought, shall I pick up a guitar? It's too early to pick up a guitar. So I waited till about 5 weeks, and then I got a guitar so I could just about get my hand around the neck, because you can't twist to hold down that end. So I was desperately playing very badly. The only good news is it doesn't seem to affect your right hand, having had a wrist break for 4 or 5 weeks. You can still, your coordination still seems to be there. Anyway, after that, I slowly started to work, and over the course of where I am now, I've got the guitar into a natural position. I'm going to show you how far I've got in a moment. So, as I say, the big thing was the pain and the swelling. You know, it's painful, and still is now. Mentally, I'm feeling happier now because it's 6 weeks and a day, and things are looking to head in the right direction. Anyway, I'll show you what I can actually physically do at this stage in a moment. So cut, see no more. Aye, right, okay. Let's go back to 5 weeks. What was I doing at 5 weeks? I was desperately trying to play, sat down. A strain, it wasn't much fun at all, and it hurt a lot. Now 6 weeks and 1 day in terms of cowboy chords, I can manage an A B is really tricky, because it's a block chord, very difficult, because it's almost like trying to play a bar chord. Not at this stage. C, easy. D, that's the easiest of the lot. D's easy. E, not too bad. F, E, and G, it's a... But funny enough, the sort of bluesy rock, you know, aren't too bad. So that's where I'm with chords, cowboy chords, etc. In terms of noodling, the grimacing isn't for artistic effect, it's the fact it hurts, right? So it's hard to bend, it hurts. Vibrato, hurts as well. And my little finger hurts with the little finger. Other 3 fingers aren't too bad. And it's been about a week since I've been doing this, and the calluses are starting to come back, which is good. The right hand hasn't been affected by the break at all. You thought the coordination might have gone, but I don't think so. Anyway, we'll come back to that in a week or so's time, and let's see if I've made any progress. Cheers. Okay, it's been 7 weeks and 3 days since I broke my left wrist. It's been 3 weeks and 1 day since the cast came off. The wrist is still swollen, as are the fingers, if you compare to my other hand. And it is a bit sore and a bit stiff, certainly when you get up in the morning. It's winter here, so it's not great. However, in terms of guitar playing, I've come on a bit, perhaps not as much as I would have liked, but never mind. Cowboy chords, A, B, still a bit tricky. C, D, E, F, G. D still the easiest. In terms of noodling, still quite hard to bend, takes a bit of physical effort, but I can do it. Nearly, anyway. Vibrato, that's come back. You can feel it a bit in the wrist, but not too bad. But for some reason, my little finger, it's still a bit tender when you're doing that again in this part of the wrist, the opposite side from where the break was. Mentally, it's good because I feel I'm making progress, and I've been able to noodle, record a little bit and play it back through various sort of sounds just to see how my guitar playing is going, which is good. So it's getting there. So I think apart from the fretting isn't as accurate as you would like, not as, you can't press down as hard, but it's getting there. So this is 7 weeks and 3 days in, not bad, I guess. I'll come back after I've seen the specialist after 8 weeks and 2 days it'll be, so in a week or so's time. So I'll talk to you then. Hi, 8 weeks and 3 days since I broke my left wrist. Still a bit swollen, as are the fingers, which makes playing a little difficult. So the physiotherapist and the consultant yesterday, and they both agreed I need to get a little more aggressive in my rehabilitation exercises. Aggressive but gentle, if that makes sense. So you need to work it and do more of them and get everything moving. So it's up to me now. In terms of guitar playing, I can play the cowboy chords better now. So A, B. Changing between chords has become much easier. Do block chords now. Still hurts a little bit. Can't quite do a bar chord. Bar chords are tricky, but at least I'm getting somewhere. In terms of noodling, still a little sore with me little thing. Still a bit sore. Bending. And vibrato is fine. Long way to go on the bend, still about halfway there, I think. So overall, I think about 40-45% of the way into getting there. Been keeping my interest up and motivation by using Tone X in Logic, using some tone samples and just recording a little bit of guitar in there and then going through just to see what sounds and tones you can get. It just keeps the motivation going. I think that's the main thing. But overall, we're getting there. I'll speak to you in about a week's time. Bye. Yo, it's 9 weeks and 2 days since I broke my left wrist. Still a little swollen, particularly across there, and the fingers are a little tight compared to that. My calluses are starting to come back. I'm playing about 35 to 55 minutes a day. I got one of these fellas. I had one of these when I was much younger. Red plastic and rubbish, I seem to remember. Lost it, of course, never really used it. This has got adjustable spring tensions. It's on its weakest at the moment, and I can barely move it because I'm pathetic, but never mind. Came with a fiddle link, which is a thing to help manipulate and move and just get your fingers moving in general. Quite addictive, actually, to fiddle with, as the name would suggest. In terms of playing, cowboy chords. Can move around quite well with those, much better than before. Block chords, not too bad. I couldn't do those a couple of weeks ago. Harder when you get to the lower end of the neck. Bar chords, not there yet. It's all to do again with the wrist being able to come round. In terms of other playing, accuracy is still a bit rubbish, but at least I can get the bend. Still needs a bit of work. Vibrato, pretty much back to normal, I would have said. So still some work to do on that. Hoping to get the band together in another week and a half's time. Been trying to run through the set list, can probably do about a third of it, but it's getting tricky and I need to do more work. But I think getting the band in will again give more encouragement, and they need the practice as much as I do, is what I would say. So yeah, still work to do, but very encouraging. So mentally doing much better because I can actually play now. It is tiring, your wrist does ache afterwards, but it's worth it because you're seeing improvements. So as I would say, just push on and hopefully everybody get the sort of level of improvement that I've been seeing. So thanks, take care. Yo, it's been 10 weeks and 2 days since I broke my left wrist. Still a little swollen, as are the fingers compared to that wrist, which is a little alarming. I thought the swelling may have gone down by now, but if you look at the internet, it can be anywhere between 3 months and a year. In light of that, I booked an appointment to see a specialist at the end of next week. So that may throw some light on what progress I should be expecting to make, and just to have a look at why the swelling on the wrist is still there. Bit of information will be good. In terms of guitar playing, not affecting the sort of standard chords, cowboy chords as I call them. You can do those and move quite quickly between them, which is pretty good. In terms of block chords, it's become easier now. Even move it, even take the finger down. Don't know what the technical term for that is. In terms of bar chords, getting there. Still not very crisp, but better than it has been. So it is getting there, but it does ache a lot afterwards. I'm doing about 3 or 4 sessions a day, 20 minutes, half an hour, then perhaps an hour in the evening before I go to bed. It does leave your wrist a little achy. In terms of soloing or solo pieces, the vibratos, it's back. The bending's pretty much back to normal. Yeah, the little finger's getting there. Still hurts a little bit there. It's very strange. So again, progress is being made. Let's see what's happening in a week's time. I have a gig in 3 weeks and 2 days time. So the pressure's on. First band practice on Monday to see what my stamina is like and how far I can get through certain pieces. We're being very careful picking the right pieces which aren't involving too many bar chords, which isn't very many in rock music, as you can imagine. But there we go. I'll speak to you in about a week or so, and let's see how the progress is getting on then. Bye. Well, it's been 11 weeks and 3 days since I broke my left wrist. Still a little swollen. Fingers tend to be swollen in the morning. Saw a specialist yesterday who told me that the break of the radius had healed well, but it should have had some sort of slight bend on it, which it hasn't, which means I'm always going to have some sort of mobility problems with my wrist. Okay, but I should be able to get pretty much full function back in terms of playing, which is the important thing for me. In terms of playing, we have a gig 2 weeks today, so I'm working towards that. We had a 4-band practice on Monday and played through most of the sets, so about 20 songs. It was a struggle because it's down to stamina, and it's a stamina and playing. It's all very well noodling and things, but when you're trying to play songs, it gets a bit more tricky. But we're going to soldier on. I'm playing a lot now. And the specialist said, play as much as you want, ain't going to do any damage. So that's the good news. It does hurt, and I'm a bit of a wimp. Okay, in terms of playing, mostly got my strength back. Cowboy chords, not a problem. Block chord, which a lot of the songs in there were said because of rock band employ. It's still down to bar chords where you're having an issue. And I'm having to pull the guitar neck up, which looks like you're really into the music, but it's just an expedient way of actually playing. But that'll get better as I do more wrist exercise. So it's just exercising. Exercise, practice. That seems to be the way out. I'll come back in a week or so's time after a couple of band practices and let you know how we're going there. But things are looking good, if a little slow and a little painful. Well, it's been 3 months exactly to the day since I broke my left wrist. It's healed. It's a little bit out of kilter, but it seems to work. A lot more work needs to be done in terms of stretching, so I haven't been as diligent as I should have been to get that up, and I need to push on now to do that. In terms of playing the guitar, bar chords, you can get away with them. So, not too bad, but it's still, you can feel the tension coming in there. Fifth chords, again, tending to tuck in and hunch, not good. You need to try and keep yourself open. Now that's harder than it actually sounds. I need to push on more with that, and I keep saying that, but I really am a bit sort of negligent in getting that going. You have to do the stretches, not just that way, but that way as well, so it gives you full flexibility. We've had 2 band practices since we last spoke. One was last night, where we did pretty much the full set for the gig on Saturday, which will be the last sort of thing. I'll post a little bit of footage from that just to see how it went. So that'll be 3 months from breaking the wrist to actually playing a live gig. there you go. It should be okay. I'm confident enough that we'll be fine. We've had to adapt some of the songs. Instead of playing full bar chords, just doing sort of half bar chords or whatever, or just changing the chord voicing to more cowboy chords, if you want to call it that. So it's been fine. One of the trickiest things we've found is because you tend to tense up at the moment, when you're playing fifths, then going into a solo, yeah, you have that weird transition where you're going from to try and relax to play the solo. Practice, that's all it needs. But the big takeaway now is up and ready, head-wise, confident that we're going to be fine. That'll be good. So it's been, I said, 3 months it's taken from break to playing, which I think is pretty good. I could have done more and should have done more. Perhaps you're better at doing these sort of things than I am. But I have been playing pretty much every night for at least an hour, I guess. But the band workout was the best of all. So yeah, I'll put a little bit of footage from Saturday's gig on just to finish this whole thing off, and hopefully it'll sound fantastic. But I wouldn't bet on that. But let's see how it goes. But yeah, if you've done what I've done, if you've had that break, good luck. And hopefully it'll work out for you. It's worked out for me. Could have been better, but it's worked out pretty well. So, you know, that's good. So anyway, you take care and good luck getting back up to full fitness. Thank you. Bye.